The phone vibrated in the dark, illuminating the room with a ghostly light. The name that appeared on the screen made my blood run cold. Julia. 2 years, 3 months, and 14 days since her disappearance. 2 years since the police filed the case away, classifying it as yet another unsolved mystery. My hand trembled as I picked up the device. The last image I had of her was the photo on the missing persons poster. An easy smile, eyes full of life. Now, that same image stared back at me from the phone screen. I answered. Silence. Only the sound of ragged breathing on the other end. Then, a whisper I knew so well, but now sounded eerily distant. Find me where it all began. The call dropped. I tried calling back, but the number no longer existed. The clock read 11:47 p.m., the same time Julia used to call me whenever she needed to talk. Black Hollow Park awaited as always. Skeletal trees swaying in the wind, rusted playground equipment creaking in a macabre symphony. Our memories were etched into that place, running between the swings, telling scary stories under the moonlight. And our secrets, especially our secrets. Julia's favorite swing rocked slightly, though there was no wind. On it, a cracked phone reflected the moonlight. I immediately recognized the faded purple case, the same model I had given her on her last birthday. When I touched it, the screen lit up, revealing a single audio file. Julia's voice echoed in the silent night, filled with a terror I had never heard from her before. Muffled screams, hurried footsteps, and then, that voice. Low, raspy, impossibly close and distant at the same time. You shouldn't be here. The swing suddenly stopped. A broken chain clattered to the ground with a metallic clang. That's when I saw the notebook beneath the seat, its yellowed pages held together by a worn elastic band. Julia's notes started off normal, work reminders, grocery lists. But as the pages progressed, her handwriting became erratic, the words turning into frantic scribbles. Drawings of a tall, faceless figure filled the margins, always accompanied by the same phrase, written over and over like a desperate mantra. He is always behind. The last entry was dated the day she disappeared. A single line, written with such force that the pen had torn the paper. He told me you would be next. The notebook slipped from my hands as I felt the first icy breath against my neck. I didn't need to turn around to know what was behind me. Julia had described that presence on every page, in every nightmare that had kept her awake until dawn. But the real horror was in what I had just realized. That notebook, it shouldn't be here. Julia carried it everywhere, jotting down her notes wherever she went. How had it ended up here? Who, or what, had brought it back? The answer hit me like a cold shock to my mind. That entity, whatever it was, had delivered it to me. Like a gift, like an introduction. It had used Julia to write its own story, to reveal its existence. And now, as I read each word, I knew it. And that meant now, it knew about me in the days that followed. My reality began to crumble. Objects moved when I wasn't looking. Echoes of familiar laughter sounded in the middle of the night. Doors closed. On their own, reflections in the mirror showed something that shouldn't be there. Worst of all was the uncertainty. I no longer knew what was real and what was an illusion. Familiar faces seemed distorted for brief moments. Voices I loved whispered. Nonsensical words. Then, among the pages of the notebook, I found something different. An instruction. Julia believed there was a way to stop the entity. A ritual described with frighteningly precise details. It feeds on fear, but if you face the darkness, it will lose its power. It was my only chance. I had to try. That night, I followed every step of the ritual. The room filled with flickering shadows, Whispers echoed inside the salt circle. The air grew dense, heavy, and then laughter. Not Julia's. Twisted, mocking laughter. The circle vanished as if it had never existed. The candles abruptly snuffed out. Without incident. The silence was almost unsettling, but at the same time, a glimmer of hope began to grow inside me. Maybe the ritual had worked. Maybe I had won. But then, everything fell apart. On the 15th night, I woke to a familiar sound. The phone vibrating on my nightstand. The name on the screen paralyzed me. Julia, I answered. But the voice on the other end wasn't hers. It was something else. Something deep and distorted. Come home. I ran without thinking. But by the time I realized, I was exactly where it wanted me. That's when I saw her. Julia, lying on the floor of the old basement, her lifeless body twisted unnaturally. Her mouth slightly open, her eyes empty, frozen in eternal terror. A scream rose in my throat, but no sound came out. My body trembled. My mind refused to accept reality. And then, a whisper. Now it's your turn. Despair consumed me. My heart pounded, and without thinking, I ran upstairs. There was an attic, a space we had known since childhood, and at the far end, a window. My only escape. The entity whispered in my ear, taunting, coaxing. She jumped first, and now you can join her. The voice was seductive, almost comforting, as if it promised relief from all the pain. End it. Come to where she is. My feet reached the edge. The cold night wind brushed against my skin. Down below, the void seemed to call me, and the entity's laughter filled my mind. And then, for a moment, everything went silent. In the garden, I saw familiar faces. Julia, my parents, everyone I had lost. They were there, waiting for me, wrapped in a gentle breeze.